Hello everyone, welcome to the video, and today we're going to be going over the werewolf build in Elden Ring. Now you can't exactly become a werewolf, however there are a couple things that you can put on and use to make yourself pretty much be as much like a werewolf as possible. So in this video we're going to be using a lot of roars and the hook claws, as well as a few other things just to kind of imitate a werewolf as much as possible. And overall I feel like the builds came out to be pretty cool. As you can see here with these giant clips, it also does a pretty incredible amount of damage. Even the jump attacks are pretty incredible. The roar mixed with the blood boil aromatic makes the damage pretty solid, and overall I had a lot of fun with this build. So now we're just going to take a look at the actual gear of the build, as well as the stats that will be required and the incantations as well. So up first we have the occult hook claws. We have two of them, and on one of them we have the Braggart's roar. This gives us a nice little boost to damage. We then have the Dragon Communion seal plus 9. Then for the fashion we have the Black Wolf mask to make us look like a wolf. We have the Shaman fur, Zamor bracelets, and Elden Lord greaves. For the talismans we have Millicent's prothesis, Lord of Blood's exaltation, Roar medallion, and Rotten winged sword insignia. For our flask of wondrous physic we have the Thorny crack tier and the Stone barb crack tier. We then have the Blood Boil aromatics just for a little bit more extra damage. You could substitute this out for Flame Grant Me Strength. However, this gives a bigger boosted damage than just regular Flame Grant Me Strength. For the stats of the build, we are level 150. We have 60 Vigor, 19 Mind, 40 Endurance, 16 Strength, 25 Dexterity, 19 Intelligence, 20 Faith, and 75 Arcane. One thing to note that I am actually boosted by my Great Rune. I think I have Godric's Great Rune on, which gives a plus 5 to all stats. So just subtract 5 from all these stats, and you see my real stats without the buff. And then for the incantations of the build, we do have Flame Grant Me Strength, just in case you don't want to use the Blood Boil. We have Bestial Vitality, Bestial Sling, and Rotten Breath. So now I'm just going to talk a little bit about how the build works, how you're going to buff up the strengths of the build and the weaknesses of the build. So starting off, which is basically how you are going to buff up. And this is a very, very important part of the build for obvious reasons, because this is what's going to maximize your damage. So there are two options between the Flame Grant Me Strength and the Blood Boil aromatic, and there is a huge drawback for the Blood Boil one. It's that it's kind of hard to farm in general, and it does give you, it puts you into a state of fervor, I believe. But regardless, it makes you take a lot of extra damage, and Flame Grant Me Strength does a little bit less of a damage boost, but it doesn't have that drawback. So when you're fighting regular enemies or bosses that don't do so much damage, I would recommend maybe using the Blood Boil instead of the Flame Grant Me Strength. But in this Malenia fight, I was using the Flame Grant Me Strength for the most part, just because her combos were pretty high damage, and a lot of them are, you know, as you guys are aware, kill shots. So I had to be a little bit more careful than usual. So after you throw on one of those, you can put on your Bestial Vitality just for a little bit of health regen during the boss fight or whatever you're doing, and then you can hit your Flask of Wondrous Physic after that. And lastly, you're going to make sure you hit your Roar from your weapons. And once you do that, you'll be completely buffed up and you will have a nice boosted damage. So a big part of the damage from the builds is definitely the combos. However, you could make your build focus a little bit more on your jump attacks if you wanted to, so you can take out maybe the winged sword or the Rotten winged sword insignia, and you can throw in the claw talisman if you wanted more damage from your jump attacks and wanted to focus more on jump attacks rather than just spamming. However, that is completely up to you, and overall I found that the combos and the overall blood buildup was pretty solid, and the damage from multiple hits in a row, which were pretty easy to get off because of how fast you could actually attack, the build was pretty solid. And like I said in the beginning of the video, I had so much fun not only just making this build, but using it on all the enemies that I was fighting in the clips that I have provided for you guys. I didn't fight too many bosses overall, but like I said, the build was so much fun, and I definitely recommend that you guys try it if you want a new unique builds, because I feel like claws in general are just never used, and the build is actually pretty solid. There are a few drawbacks to the build, however, and one of those drawbacks is just the lack of range. I mean, claws are very, very similar to just being unarmed. They have that kind of moveset as well. So you're going to have to be directly on top of somebody. It's pretty much the same as daggers or, you know, any type of fist type weapon. you're going to need to be directly on top of somebody, and that's one of the reasons why I suggested that if you wanted to just focus on jump attacks, you could do that as well. But overall, super fun build to use. I tried to make it resemble a werewolf as much as possible with not only the weapons, but the moveset as well, and just everything involved in the kit, including the look, and I feel like I did a pretty good job. So if you liked this build, make sure to drop a like on the video. I would really appreciate it, and a sub to the channel. But that's pretty much it for today's video, so thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time.